What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And I'm back for my third straight new release review for you guys. This weekend there was just so much I wanted to talk about, and here I am talking about this bad boy. And for this time around, I'm talking about a band that is somewhat near and dear to my heart. The latest album from German progressive technical death metal masters, Obscura, a VALEDICTION. So, brief little history lesson for you guys who aren't familiar with Obscura. Obscura formed in 2002 out of Germany by Stefan Kummerer. I talked about him earlier, or actually a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about the new Volcandra album. So this is the second release this year with Stefan Kummerer, which is awesome because he's awesome himself. And over the years, different lineups, different albums. You know, starting off with Retribution, and then we get into a 4-album series with Cosmogenesis, Omnivium, Acroasis, and Delivium. All revolving around space-based carnage and all that jazz. So, yeah, this is the first album since Retribution, their debut, where it's not completely revolving around the sci-fi space-based concept series that they were going for on their previous 4. So, here we are with a VALEDICTION, starting things off with the longest track of the album at over 7 minutes, Forsaken. Beautiful acoustic guitars that begin this track with a wonderful bass line to give it that somber melody to start things off. Then the electric guitars and the drums come in to build up the track, before already a beautiful technical solo comes in. Speed and heaviness picks up afterwards. More technical melodic solos come in once more before the vocals kick in. Now, I definitely noticed the vocals, most of the vocal style of this album from Stefan's kind of carried over from Volcandra, where it's still that kind of black metal mixed with Tampa from At the Gates style vocals. So, it's a little bit different than what I'm used to hearing with Stefan here in Obscura, where he's using the same style of vocals as he's doing with his more black metal project. But I love the somber ambience that's going on in the background of this track to kind of further embellish that somber melody that kind of pushes this song forward. And the riffs are quite heavy throughout as they go along before we get some John Petrucci and Randy Rhoads inspired soloing coming in through the middle. And then the final solos of the song are very Chuck Schuldiner inspired. Then again, Obscura has been compared to bands like Death in the past, so you can kind of see why I would say this, because they were heavily inspired by Death and a lot of the early tech death bands or prog death bands. But yeah, these solos towards the end, perfect combination of feel and technical execution before the track finishes off with the acoustics and the bass from the beginning. Solaris is, or Solaris, however you want to pronounce it. Solaris, I think it's Solaris. Some crazy technical play and soloing immediately before it starts to riff out and get thrashy. And quick Spitfire harmonics going on within the riffs to just add more to the chaotic nature. And then more wonderful shredding melodic solos. Once again, you're going to hear me say that a lot in this review. And then we get to the title track of VALEDICTION, where we get some Testament-inspired riffs that show up before a little quick-fire solo. And you even hear, if you can hear it very closely with like earbuds or headphones, you'll be able to hear a faint acoustic guitar going on in the background. And then even a technical solo from Stefan. Most of the solos on this album were done by Christian Munzner, this is his first album in the band since Omnivium 10 years ago. He's back in the band, as well as Joran Paul Felicing, formerly of Pestilence and Obscura as well, because he was last on Omnivium as well, or he might have been on Delivium, I'm not sure. But regardless, I forgot to mention that earlier, that those two are back in the band. But yeah, with the VALEDICTION, yeah, starting off with that technical solo from Stefan before Christian pretty much takes over the rest of the solos. Despite those solos, this track was a lot more straightforward than pretty much all the other ones. Then we get to one of my favorites of the album, When Stars Collide. The music video, however, is a bit weird, because it's the band members all in sunglasses and leather jackets coming out of muscle cars, like as if it's like an 80s Top Gun commercial, seeing planes and stuff. But the song, fast and furious right off the bat, with awesome riffs and bass work going on. And there's even some groove going on in this track as well. Clean vocals show up courtesy of Bjorn Strid from Soilwork, which was a nice little addition to this track. And after many technical solos, we get a beautiful old school metal solo that comes in that sounds something similar to what I would hear in like Merciful Fate or Testament to some degree. And even a harmonized solo between Christian and Stefan where they're working together, and it sounded absolutely beautiful. Then we get to In Unity, starting off with more wonderful riffs with great melodies going on, before it starts picking up in speed and blasts along. Although a lot of the riffs and moments on this song kind of remind me of Time Ghoul, Blood Incantation, and even Sun Eater era Job for a Cowboy. So I got some of those vibes within this track, as this one had more straightforward death metal influence, and even at times it gets a bit doomy at times. And as the song gets more into that doom vibe, the solo has a lot going on for its sinister tones, feel, technicality, and emotion. And yeah, this is another standout one. Before we get to maybe my favorite song of the album, Devoured Usurper, because it's the slowest song of the album. It's so doomy, and it's very much a Morbid Angel worship track, because a lot of these riffs sound like they could have been off of albums like Covenant or Domination, Formulas Fatal to the Flesh, that time period, because, man, these riffs are just catchy and so evil. And even Stefan's vocals get deep down to his more guttural register, which added a new flair to the album. Speed does pick up a little bit heading into a quick solo, and there's even some black metal beats going on at times, before it goes back to that doomy Morbid Angel vibe. And once again, these solos are not messing around. Then we get to one of the shorter songs of the album, The Beyond, with crazy fretboard technicality immediately before the riffs and the beats start to blast. And the riffs throughout the song stay quite melodic, yet you can headbang to them. The second and third solos were solos that truly stand out as some of the best on the album. Beautiful melody and feel to them, and another harmonized solo from Stefan and Christian that was extra beautiful at the end of the track. Orbital Elements 2, which was a sequel to an old song of theirs called Orbital Elements 1. And this is an instrumental track, and this song felt more like a jam session, where all the players are just playing together to see what all riffs and solos and moments they could come up with, and you get some riffs on here that kind of remind me of Iron Maiden at times. And it's like, start off with the first solo, which is more beautiful feeling solo, then we get a technical solo, and then we get bass moments. We get the bass having its moment of shine, and then a drum solo that was really, really excellent. This was maybe the best instrumental song I have heard this year by far. It was masterfully crafted, yet, like I said, it felt like an improvisation jam session, but it worked so fucking beautifully. The Neuromancer, starting off with some chugging riffs, before it to unleash fury with a solo in the background, before it gets really fast. And this one, lots of moments that remind me of Necrophagist. After all, Christian did come from Necrophagist prior to being in Obscura in the late 2000s. But after a chaotic solo, another beautiful melodic solo with that technical edge to it. Even some finger tapping stuff, which is something I always like to hear every once in a while, and the bass carrying the rhythm and the riff forward throughout the remainder of the track. In Adversity, more melodic play, and the riffs that are going on throughout this track or melodic, but more in the sense of bands like Soilwork and Amon Amarth to some degree. And as the main riff keeps pushing things forward, the technical melodies you hear in the background kind of carry over that technical aspect. Another beautiful solo that was well done, but it was quick. And then we get two more awesome solos that follow suit before the end of the track. And then we finish off the album with the song Heritage, starting off with somber acoustic guitars, before things change drastically in the dynamics. More wonderful solos coming in as I go in between every tool in the toolbox for guitar solos with this band. Although this song was a bit more epic than most of the others, kind of like as if it feels like you're about to be entering a final fight in an emotional action film before it concludes with the acoustics. So overall, this is like a new beginning for Obscura, considering they've finished up their 4-album concept series that started with Cosmogenesis, ended with Delirium. Now they want to start fresh with new ideas, new themes, new aspects of their sound while retaining the core of what Obscura is all about. Great soloing, amazing guitar work, some catchy riffs, some influence across the board in metal, from black metal to classic metal to old school death metal to even modern death metal, kind of bringing all that together into this album. And I have to say, while Acroasis is their weakest album, it's still great. Delirium was a step up from it. Here, this is the best album they've done since Omnivium 10 years ago. This is brilliantly crafted. Expect amazing guitar work anytime you hear Obscura. While I kind of felt sour on them for a little bit because at times the whole fretboard gymnastics vibe of tech death can drive me insane, these guys do it right because there's a lot of nuance in their songwriting, and I really, really appreciate it. So overall, it's a broken record. I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10. This is brilliantly executed, technical, progressive death metal, but with moments of other metal styles, of black metal, of old school death metal, of, I think, classic metal, and even some doom moments coming in as well. And like I said, the middle of the album with When Stars Collide and Unity and Devoured Usurper, those were the 3 standout songs for me, as well as Orbital Elements 2. I mean, all these songs are great, but those 4 were the standouts because they were all completely different from one another. When Stars Collide having that more old school metal feel, in Unity, kind of like every death metal style you can think of. Devoured Usurper, that doomy Morbid Angel vibe, and then Orbital Elements, great instrumental. But what did you guys think of A Valediction by Obscura? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, horns high, see you guys soon.
Right underneath you. You're just gonna have to run around for a second while I... Oh. Okay.
Why is there so much... Oh god, there's a horde of spiders.
You were slain by spiders, man. I'm not a secluded island.
You're just on an island paradise while we're over here fighting for our lives.
We're at the same coordinates I was at
so many
before.
sounds out
Just
there.
killed
Right?
a zombie by
Okay, I'm here. Oh my god!
They were multiplying!
There's so many! What the fuck?
There are so many zombies! What is this? I don't think I've ever seen that many zombies in a group.
I don't want to be out here
in my
anymore. I've
life.
decided.
I've
decided I don't want to be here. Okay, never mind. I'm not heroic, as it turns out.